flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Bow your heads with me. Dear God, I thank you so much for the opportunity for us to gather, and I pray that you'll just watch over our meeting. Help us as we discuss the business of the school. Please be with our administrators, our students, our teachers, everyone involved in the lives of our kids, God. And I pray that you'll direct our paths in a way that is best for their future. I thank you for the springtime and the renewing that's upon us, and the renewing of life and all the beauty that brings. And I pray that you'll just use that to remind us of your greatness. In your name I pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you.
Well, welcome everybody. I know next week is spring break and everybody's looking forward to that. So instead of bringing everybody back for spring break, we thought we'd do this a week early. So welcome. Mr. Light, we've got a couple of recognitions we need to make.
Yes, sir. We got a couple of groups of students we want to recognize tonight. Miss Baker, if you'd come forward. Dee Dee has taken the reins of our Unified Bulldogs. I'll let her give you a little bit more information about that. Dee Dee's been with us for how many years?
24.
24 years. So she's been around. We appreciate everything you're doing, Dee Dee.
Thank you. All right, so like Mr. Lett said, he called me today, kind of threw me for a loop, so I had to get up here and talk. A little nervous. Like he said, I have been at Wiley for about 24 years. When I started working here, I knew right away that Wiley was a really special place. I saw how the teachers from kindergarten through high school, how great they were and how they worked with all the kids. My husband and I knew right away that this is where we wanted to raise our kids. We have 3 sons. The older 2 they went K through 12 through Wiley and are both Wiley grads. They had a fabulous time while they were here at Wiley. But I'm just kind of coming to you, not just as a parent, but also as a teacher, but also a parent. When you're a parent, you worry about your kids when you send them off to school. Every day, are they going to fit in? Are they going to get picked on? Are they going to have friends? But when you become a special needs parent, all those worries are kind of intensified a little bit. My husband and I had our youngest son 16 years ago. His name is Bryson. He has Down syndrome. And he's attended Wiley since he was 3, and he's now currently a freshman at Wiley High School. So like I said, tonight I come here as a teacher, representing Wiley High School, but also as a parent with a special needs child. So in both roles, as a teacher and a parent, I'm always seeking to improve my school, my classroom for my own students, but to improve the life for my child who does need that little extra help. I'm so grateful, not only as a teacher, but as a parent, that Wiley, Mrs. Berry, has approached the school board and they got on board, and we are now implementing what they call unified sports and unified Special Olympics. So I'm just going to kind of tell you what that is. I just kind of perused the Special Olympics website and kind of got some of their information, but what Unified Special Olympics is, it just brings together student athletes that have intellectual disabilities, and then unified partners, those classmates of theirs that do not have intellectual disabilities. And so it gives them the opportunity to come together to train and to compete on the same team. So our goal, or my goal, is to become what they call a unified champion school. And so what that is, it kind of encompasses 3 things. Of course, the sports aspect, which we have now implemented this school year. Inclusive leadership opportunities, not just for the partners, but also the athletes. And give them opportunities to serve at the school with service projects, and then just whole school engagement, get the whole school involved in that. This program was designed to be woven into the fabric of the school, enhancing current efforts, and I have to say that Wiley, at least at the high school, we make great efforts to include those kids, but just to improve upon that. Provide rich opportunities that lead to meaningful change in creating a socially inclusive school. that supports, engages all the learners, all the kids across the board. Miss Berry came to me before Christmas and said, hey, do we want to do this? I was like, okay, I'll help. Here we are, in charge. But it's great, I'm enjoying it. It's better than I thought it would be. We started what we're gonna call Unified Bulldogs in January. We started practicing once a week after school. I put it out there to the pals that we have at the high school and offered, hey, does anybody want to volunteer? And so those kids just jumped on board. They were like, absolutely, I want to come see what this is about. I did have to seek out a few. I was emailing teachers, I need some good names, I need some good kids. And I got a bunch of names and I approached some kids. Some were right on board, they jumped in. Some were like, oh, maybe I'll think about it. But I've got about 9 partners that are volunteer to help us out with this. We competed in our first competition on February 25th. We did a basketball skills competition. I was so proud of our athletes. They all have their hardware on tonight. They all got a medal. They jumped in, they worked really hard every week to get better at passing, at shooting, at dribbling. And then our partners, man, those kids, they jumped in. I'm so proud of them. I think I try to tell them that often. They didn't know what they were getting into, but they were willing to do it. And they were encouragers. They jumped in, and they're forming those bonds and those relationships with those kids that, you know, they don't get that a lot of time. And so I really feel like we're just going to build and get better and better. Next year, we're going to implement a class during the school day, and we're going to have athletes. I think we've got some special athletes coming up from the junior high, so I'm looking to have probably 10 to 12 athletes, and then we'll pull in about 10 to 12 partners next year for our Unified Bulldog class or Unified Bulldog team. And we're just going to build from there. We're just going to grow and build and just build those relationships and get the whole school involved. Can I introduce my team? All right, so do they come up here? Or
Yes,
do
they'd be
all right,
great.
so when I call your name, I'm going to let you come up here. We've got about 9 athletes. I don't think all the athletes and all the partners got to make it here tonight, so I'll introduce the ones that are here. The first one we have is Isaac Gammon. If you'll come on up. Come on up, Hunter. We've got Dennis. I don't know how to say your last name. They will come. I've started handing out applications to be a partner for next year. Kids are just coming out of the woodwork. And teachers too. We've got Melinda Bacon, who's going to coach with me. And for getting everybody on board, I think this is going to be a great thing.
Guys, if y'all wanted to get it behind the board, we'll get a quick picture of it.
Congratulations. Great medals.
Can you be able to see the
Just a
camera?
little bit more. Richard, can you scoot closer to Abby? There we go. All right, y'all ready? 1, 2, 3. Good job, guys.
Good. I want to thank everybody for coming tonight. And parents, thank y'all for supporting your kiddos. And it just makes a big difference to a lot of people. Thank you for being here. Also tonight, we have a new Miss Cheek, you're going upstream, aren't you?
We are so excited to see y'all a month early than we usually come, but I'm just here to introduce another set of great kids and let them talk to you about a goal they had and the phase it's in and what they're doing to impact the community. So this team is coached by Jennifer Hanner, and I'm going to let Vinton come up and do all the talking. So, Vinton, you're on.
Hi, my name is Vinton. I was on the DI team last year when we went to Globals, and so I decided to do it again this year because of what a fun experience it was. Last year we did service learning, and we partnered with a school in Rwanda, and then went on a mission trip there to help them use their STEM learning. This year we decided to make an impact like much closer to our community. And then when we were in the research phase, so there's like phases, and we were in the research phase, like looking around, seeing what we could do to help. And our team had the idea to go to AISD Homeless, which is like a place that services kids in the Abilene School District. And he actually said they service some Wiley kids with needs, and that just kind of like touched our hearts, and we thought that we could do something to help that. And we wanted to do it in a manner that preserved their dignity and didn't embarrass them in front of anyone else, and we wanted to make them feel like they fit in. So we emailed back and forth with the counselors at each campus, and they basically emailed us lists of things that they needed. So this is the list. I know you can't see it, but there was a couple. So each campus basically needed different things, but there was like 5 main like categories. They wanted food, backpacks, school supplies, clothes, and hygiene supplies, and we tried to provide that for every campus that sent us a list. We made a Walmart wish list, and so right after that, we actually had a meeting with Mr. Light, and he kind of helped us like get off the ground to give us some ideas to like keep it going. So we partnered with student council to do it next year, and he helped us post it on the Wiley webpage. And then, so after that, we ordered PTO shirts, so we're really thankful for that the PTO helped us with that goal. And we just went shopping this Friday, and we got a lot of things on the wish list, and we've delivered most of them to the campus. 2 are being delivered tomorrow, but we just really want to thank y'all, thank the Wiley community for its support, and we've raised a lot of money through the Wiley community and local businesses. We've raised $23,000 and $5,000 in clothes. So we just really want to thank everyone for all the support you've given us and helping make our Wiley community a really good place. So thank you. It's the Bulldog Protection Program, and it's like a counselor's care closet. So the counselors can pull stuff out of the closet when a student in need asks for it. And
Thank y'all.
What other stuff do you need on your list? Is there anything that you think?
So we have a wish list posted on the Wiley page, so that will always help. And we have it to where it gets shipped directly to the campus. We set up like a delivery thing. And so, yeah, we just have like a wish list, and then we have extra spending money that if anything unorthodox, like random, that's not needed very much, that we can buy.
Cool, thank you, appreciate it.
Yes, thank you.
How do people contribute to that?
You can donate on the Walmart wish list, or I'm sure you can make a check out to Wiley DI. You can make a check out to Wiley DI. It's a nonprofit, so.
It's also
It is a
on
our web store as well.
our web store has
It's
it.
on the web store.
on the web
store, there's a DI donation.
Yeah, there's like a link, and then there's each wish list school link, so if you have like a kid at a certain school, you can
Trying to do a promotion.
donate to that school.
And it doesn't go to me,
Yeah, it goes to the
counselor's care
Oh,
closet.
sorry.
Good job.
Thank
Good
you.
job.
Yep, good stuff.
Well, thank you all for that. All right, it's time for open forum. Anyone would like to address the board, now's the time. I've got a pretty extensive list here. So, Mr. White, we're going to ask for 3 minutes.
3 minutes.
When I call your name, if you just introduce yourself and remember, it's your chance to address us. It's not a question and answer. And if the item is not on our agenda, we won't be able to talk about it later. But we appreciate you coming, and we're going to start off. We've got multiple topics here.
She's gonna be
Oh. Okay.
Yeah.
Yes. Thank you. All right, then we're going to start off with Jennifer Farrar, please.
Wasn't expecting to go first. Well, good evening. My name is Jennifer Farrar. This is my husband, Tim. We're parents of a Wiley High School student athlete here, and we're here this evening to make comments about concerns we have regarding student transportation and buses at Wiley. So while I know safety is really, for all students, teachers, coaches, and district personnel, is a priority for Wiley ISD, over the last few years, I've personally seen a number of buses breaking down out of town, and it's happening at an increased frequency that is a little bit alarming, at least for us. So since January of this year alone, there have been 3 separate occurrences of bus failures while the softball team was over 2 hours away from home. 2 instances required the team to borrow transportation from other districts and actually other businesses in order for our kids to be shuttled back and forth between their games during tournaments. So last year we had several out-of-town trips where the same things happened. So while I can only speak to my own experiences as a parent with my daughter and at softball, I really do feel like this is a larger systemic issue that the district is having. We're hearing it from multiple sports, from multiple other people, so I can only speak to what is happening with us. And while I fully understand there can be breakdowns of vehicles, I mean, we have that with our own personal vehicles, the frequency at which this is happening has me asking a few questions. So I'm just gonna pose a few questions to you guys. I know you can't answer them, but what is the average age of the buses in the Wiley ISD fleet? At what age and mileage are buses replaced? Are buses replaced with new or refurbished buses? Does the district have a published strategic plan to address the growing needs for more and different types of transportation? Examples include charter buses for longer trips and more activity buses that accommodate storage and bathroom needs of the students. Is there a safety point inspection that's conducted on each bus before it's checked out for travel? If yes, who is responsible for this? Teachers and coaches should not be responsible for this duty. They have a CDL, but this does not make them mechanics or bus experts. Who's responsible for training the drivers? Specifically those who are not dedicated route drivers. All buses have different features depending on the age and model. So if you're driving a different bus than you drove last week and it's a different age and model, it may not have the same features. And then also why are coaches required to drive buses out of town to out-of-town games? I know there's a workforce issue, but in many districts there are dedicated drivers, especially for out-of-town travel. These are just a few of the many questions I have, and I know others have questions. And while Wiley is really no longer a small school district, so we're traveling in our district at a minimum of 5 hours round trip each week. This means multiple buses a week, traveling thousands of miles with hundreds of students who deserve to have the safest travel experience possible. I urge you to make bus and transportation safety a higher priority sooner than later, and understanding that it will take a significant financial contribution to do so. But I know that Wiley cares about their students. I know that this is an issue that I know you've talked about in the past. I've been at board meetings before, earlier, where you've ordered new buses, but it does seem to be like there's something happening at a frequency that really, more than anything, needs to be communicated out to the community and the parents so that we know a little bit more about the plan and what's happening. Because I don't want my child stranded at midnight on I-20 standing beside a bus. So, thank you, I appreciate your time and your consideration.
Thank you. Trumbull.
Good evening. Again, my name is Clay Trumbull. I appreciate y'all's time this evening. Similar to what Jennifer had, I too have some concerns about buses, but more from, where we are on stuff, and I'm hoping maybe y'all can answer this, because there's a few items in the consent agenda that maybe is going to get addressed later. But I did notice in our bills this month that we apparently had a fuel issue. We've spent approximately $23,000 this month, or maybe it's into February too, for paying for bad fuel. A lot of those was to OPEC C4 and to AJ Enterprises and to a company in Lubbock that just said bad fuel service. I'm not for sure if that was from a previous vendor, but since that was on the consent agenda in the bills, maybe that could maybe be addressed. If not, certainly understand that maybe not, cannot be addressed. Additionally, last December of 21, the board approved the purchase of 3 buses. 2 what I consider yellow buses that were normal, and then 1 activity bus. In October of 22, it looked like we did write a check for $240,000, which was roughly the contract price for those 2 yellow buses, but never saw an additional funding for that activity bus, which I the contract stated delivery within 240 days, which is well past the December 21, the November deadline. Just would maybe curious where that status is of that additional activity bus. Just curious. And then kind of switching gears a little bit, but maybe a solution for some of our transportation concerns. I do notice we had about $17 million in our fund deposit, earning an interest rate of 4.56%, which is certainly a good use of our taxpayer money. That's roughly, in round numbers, $65,000 a month that the district is earning. Looked like in our 2022-2023 budget, we'd only allocated about $20,000 in interest income that we thought we were going to make for the year. Year to date, we're at well exceeded that, and if we continue at the current rate, interest rates obviously can change, but we'd be close to $500,000 in just I call it unexpected income. Certainly, I know that may change, and something may change. Interest rates can go up or down. Probably continue to go up, most likely. But that may be a good solution to our transportation issues. We could, pay for an additional 2 activity buses. Essentially from I call cash that was unexpected, since it was not in our budget. Maybe that's an action item the board could possibly take, knowing that there's a lengthy delay in getting those, and those funds, are essentially sitting in the account today. The last thing I'd like to leave you with is Jennifer had mentioned about long activities. I'll kind of address the competition-wise. I'd hate to say that our student athletes, band, whoever it may be, is having to drive on a yellow dog, 3 hours to Lubbock, when their competition driving to Abilene is on a nice activity bus. I hope that doesn't affect their, performance on the field, in the classroom, whether it's a one-act play or anything like that. So I certainly appreciate your time, and I know my time is up. Thank you, Mr. White.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Clay.
Thanks, sir.
All right. Well, let's see here. Baker Bryant.
Hello, good evening. My name is Baker Bryant. I am the father of Keaton Bryant, senior student at Wiley High School. Been in ISS for almost 2 weeks as of this meeting. He's there due to disciplinary action for violating the section of the dress code prohibiting facial hair. I contend this to be an arbitrary, outdated, discriminatory, and hypocritical section of the Wiley dress code. Keaton has long looked forward to the chance to grow his facial hair. He has a variety of personal reasons. Natural growth of being a young man, emulated his older brother who was able to have facial hair his entire high school years due to he transferred out of Wiley and attended Adams High School in the AISD school district. My son Keaton is an avid rule follower, has hardly ever had any discipline issues throughout his entire Wiley school career. If you inquire with any of his teachers, I'm sure they would be confident they would concur. Put him in some degree of anxiety, being in conflict with his normal personality and how he conducts himself. The section of the dress code addressing facial hair is the only section that disallows something that is a natural occurrence. Other sections involve specific actions to alter your appearance, hairstyle, color, piercings, clothing, costumes. The basis for the Wiley dress code is stated as the following. I take it directly from the school handbook, quote, "The district dress code teaches grooming and hygiene, prevents disruption, minimizes safety hazards, maintains a positive learning climate," end quote. I cannot see how the presence of facial hair falls under any of those criteria, especially because 76 of the male teachers' pictures in the Wiley High School website have facial hair, and I see 4 out of 6 of you men on the board have facial hair, so it's obviously acceptable in what y'all are doing. Aren't those teachers with facial hair in the same learning environment as these young men that have been in ISS for it? How can you in good conscience apply a double standard to them? I know parents have unofficially discussed this issue with individual board members and superintendent last year without any actions so far. I'd say this portion dress code is very likely to be amended this summer, so it's not something that should have caught you off guard. It should have already been fixed. The board has ability, authority, and I would state the obligation to stand up and do the right thing for these young men. I would request you either amend the dress code immediately to allow facial hair, or instruct the administration to suspend disciplinary actions for the facial hair section of the dress code for the remainder of the school year until you can make permanent changes this summer. Do not continue to punish my son and these young men for a natural progression of becoming a man that has no bearing on their or any other student's ability to learn. Only distraction to the learning environment is the one you have imposed by denying him the opportunity to end classes and interact with his friends in his last year of high school. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, sir. Cameo Harvey?
Talk fast to get my 5 minutes in. My name is Cameo Harvey, and I would like to delve into the religious and racial implications of the Wiley rule requiring students to be clean shaven. The religious implications are obvious. There are several religions that shaving facial hair is a religious affront to them. Muslims and Jews have cultural and religious reasons for growing their facial hair out. For that matter, though not required by the Christian religion, Jesus Christ, a Jew, likely had and is depicted as having facial hair. Although it is not mentioned in the student handbook that exceptions can be made, I'm not sure the Wiley School District wants to become involved in deciding who has true religious exemption when the alternative of taking the rule out of the student handbook solves the problem. Along with that particular legal problem is that African Americans or blacks have a very common problem resulting from shaving their facial hair. The medical term is pseudofolliculitis barbae. It is a persistent irritation caused by shaving that is more serious than just razor burn. It is common with anyone who has coarse, tightly curled hairs growing from the skin. The hairs curl back into the skin as they grow and can cause permanent scarring in the beard area. Up to 60% of blacks have this problem when they shave. The best long-term treatment is to not shave the hair down to the skin, i.e. clean shaven. In 1991, the 8th Circuit Court of Appeals found that Domino's Pizza's policy of not allowing beards for employees created a disparate impact by excluding a quarter of black men from employment, but not an equivalent number of white men, due to this condition, thus violating Title VII of the Civil Rights Act of 1964. The next argument against forced shaving is that unlike regulating what students wear when they are at school, requiring shaving imposes the school's rules on students in their private life outside of school. Girls who aren't allowed to wear short skirts at school can wear short skirts outside of school hours. They have that freedom if their parents approve. Male students do not have the luxury of being clean shaven at school and then replacing their hairs outside of school hours. So essentially, this rule is imposed on male students 24 hours a day for 9 months out of the year. A less intrusive rule would be to forbid girls from wearing makeup on their faces during school hours, because at least they could wear makeup on their faces after school. But even that seems like an overly harsh rule for girls, doesn't it? Yet you are imposing a much more harsh rule on male students. After researching school districts in Texas, along with Abilene ISD, I found at least 10 other cities in Texas similar in size to Abilene that make either no mention of facial hair or state facial hair is to be kept neat and clean. These cities include San Angelo, Midland, Lubbock, Odessa, Pearland, Round Rock, Richardson, Wichita Falls, Beaumont, and College Station. To wrap up, I would like to include some excerpts from the Texas Association of School Boards, TASB Legal Services. These quotes are from 2022. Quote, "A school may prohibit otherwise protected expression if the school has reason to believe that the expression will materially and substantially interfere with the operation of the school. Case law sets a high standard for removing material and substantial disruption when it applies to issues involving student dress," unquote. The substantial disruption test is a criterion set forth by the United States Supreme Court in the case of Tinker versus Des Moines Independent Community School District. It was concluded that students do not shed their constitutional rights to freedom of expression or speech at the schoolhouse door. In regards to gender, the TASB stated that courts outside of Texas have held that penalizing students for not conforming to a gender-based dress code restriction is gender discrimination in violation of federal law. And recently, a district court in Texas temporarily enjoined a district from enforcing its gender-based hair length restrictions against a student. The court held that the student showed a substantial likelihood of success against the district because a dress code was likely sex discrimination in the violation of the Equal Protection Clause. The TASB concluded by saying, quote, "In light of the evolving law, we recommend districts refrain from including distinctions based on gender in the student dress code. As a practical matter, gender-neutral standards may be the best way to provide clear and consistent rules for campus administrators, avoid arbitrary enforcement, and promote equity for all students," unquote. I thank you for your time today.
Thank you. Let's see. Chance Ferguson.
Well, I didn't expect to be back, to be honest with you. This is my retained counsel, Ms. Juanita Fielden. She's going to speak after I do. I think she's on the list.
She is.
Ladies and gentlemen, first of all, let's just get this out of the way. I'm not mad at anybody. I'm not mad at Wiley. I'm not mad at the teachers. I think we got great teachers. We got great students. But it comes to the point that it is a constitutional violation. And you may not agree with it. You may not think it is. It's been through the Supreme Court. We handed out a handout to everybody of a court case that went through Houston 2 years ago in 2021. And the federal judge ruled that it's a non-issue, that it is discriminatory, it is against the 14th Amendment, it's against the First Amendment, it can be against their religious beliefs. There's all kinds of wormholes that this thing opens up. Since this whole thing started, I have tried to avoid this. I met with Mr. Light end of November, 1st of December, even told him, I said, if you could just meet with the board, tell them we got an issue, it needs to be resolved. I don't want to be that guy. I don't want to be the one that's pushing this issue, but we've got a problem. Nothing happened. Then I went to a board meeting, last board meeting, spoke there, that was number 2. Nothing happened. Then I filed a level 1 grievance. Nothing has happened, which I have a meeting with Ms. Berry tomorrow morning on that. This will be the 4th time that I've brought constitutional violations up to this board. Y'all have a choice that you can have an executive meeting, you can have a special meeting, you can do like they were talking about and wave a blind eye to the end of the year, it's only 3 months, and you can do it in the summer, you can hold a special meeting, and you can decide it right now before school's over. You have many choices. Waiting till summertime and keeping these students in ISS is not an option, especially when you're violating their constitutional rights. That being said, this is a federal lawsuit for the Northern District of Texas to be filed in Abilene. If my son is in ISS by the end of the week, this will be filed Monday. Okay? That's not, puffing up and showing my strength or anything like that. I'm just telling you, I'm done tiptoeing around this issue. You have options that you can do. My son has been in ISS for 3 weeks. He has been out of a learning environment. His grades have suffered because his constitutional rights are being violated. I'll leave it to Ms. Phillips.
Gentlemen, I have spent 30 years.
I'm here.
I'm sorry.
You said gentlemen. I'm here too. Yeah.
What?
No, I was just saying that you said gentlemen.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'm sorry, gentlemen and lady. I have spent 30 years upholding the laws of the United States and the state of Texas. I retired last year in December. I came out of retirement because I feel so strongly that you are violating this young man and the other students' constitutional rights. I am prepared to step in and file a federal lawsuit. We don't need to go that route. A little while ago, I handed you a copy of a lawsuit, or the holding in the case in Houston, where they talked about the long hair. You need to read that. You need to read that very carefully, because you don't have a leg to stand on. You are violating these young men's constitutional rights. You are keeping them from a learning environment. I have even heard that you're threatening to not allow them to walk the stage when they graduate. You really think this is the mountain that you want to die on? Because I promise you, I have already talked to federal and state judges. You do not have a leg to stand on. This is something I believe in. I've spent my entire career protecting the laws of the United States, and I will continue to do so. Read that case. And yes, if Katie Ferguson and the other young men are not back in regular classes, I promise you, I will be filing this Monday morning. I don't make threats, I make promises. Understand that.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Justin Oliver.
Well, there's not really much left to say. It's pretty much been said. I think everybody covered everything that I was going to touch on. The only other real issue that I've seen with the whole facial hair situation is it's a handful of kids being singled out. The night after KTAB aired Mr. Ferguson talking to y'all about this, the very next day, these kids got stuck in ISS. And then the very next night on the same news channel, Wiley High School boys basketball team was on there. Half of them had facial hair. One of them had a full goatee, not much less than what you've got on your face. And so these athletes are above the rules. I'm not real sure. I don't understand where we stand on that. But that's really all I can add to what's been said already, is something's got to be done. You're singling out a handful of kids. I don't know where that decision came from, but that's what's happening. You've got teachers standing at the doorways in the morning when these kids come in. Anybody dressing with a dress code violation, it should be handled right then, if it's going to be handled. You don't pull them out of class later in the day, 4 or 5 of them, and say, this is your ultimatum. You have to be firm and across the board with everybody. You can't just pick a handful of kids. And then, of course, obviously, the constitutional violations, all of that, things need to be looked at. I don't know if y'all got lawyers that, go through this stuff and tell y'all what can and can't be done, but obviously, if this policy's been in the books this long and it hasn't been told to y'all that, hey, we can't do this, then you probably need to find better lawyers. That's all I have to say.
Thanks, sir. I think that's everybody on the list. Did I miss anybody? All right. Mr. Light, we're going to move on down. Next, we've got consent agenda. I'm assuming everybody's had an opportunity to review the minutes from last time. And if there's no other objection, we'll approve those as presented. So moved, everyone. Consent agenda.
gonna have Catherine, she's gonna present our bills for the month.
Starting over on page 7, where our bills start. And give y'all a minute to kind of review those while I point out a few items. Ones I want to point out are a few pages back.
Just a question on page 9, noticed a couple times I meant to ask it last week, I didn't. Paying, do the coaches pay for meals and then get reimbursed? 'Cause I've noticed sometimes that
Well-
checks directly to like Whataburger or Double Days, and I just was curious how that works.
Absolutely. So some of our vendors allow us to pay on account with them. And so, a team travels, we're on an account, they can charge it, they invoice us. Others have, each student gets $8 for their meal. And so the coaches will go ahead and get a head count of who's gonna be traveling. We write them a check, we give them a form, a sign-in sheet, they have to log whoever. And the amount is noted, and so there's kind of a reconciliation process once that's done. Either they owe us money back, because not as many ate,
Yes, gotcha.
or we owe them more.
Gotcha, okay.
Yeah.
But there are occasions where we would pay it to the coach if they paid it out of pocket or if we had any.
Absolutely, yeah, if for some reason, they were short or they didn't get it in,
They-
we reimburse.
Sometimes they don't request it early enough.
Yeah, they have to, yeah. Okay, one of the first ones I did want to point out, we have the Abilene Glass and Mirror. That was an invoice we received, a little higher, and we did have some.
What page is that?
Oh, I'm sorry, number 12, or page 12. That was, some large 60 by 80.
Pellet gun.
Yeah, pellet gun had
Great.
busted some of those out, so those were replaced, so that's
There you go.
the bulk of that.
Damaged them.
Yeah.
They cracked.
So, those-
Can you tell us on page 9, it says most repairs fuel error? What is that, Mr. Bessie?
Say that again.
So that we,
Where we're at?
yeah, no, on the first night, we had some vehicles break down in post. The closest place to take them was to Lubbock. We didn't know what the problem was, and it was on a Friday night, I believe. And so they stayed in Lubbock over the weekend before they even had a chance to look at them. I don't know how quickly we got them back, but there was gasoline in the diesel.
So
Fuel.
the fuel company deposited 2,100 gallons of unleaded gasoline in our diesel tank.
Yeah.
By mistake, contaminated 36 vehicles that had 100 gallons of fuel in them.
So what's the process of?
So right now, our attorney has all those bills. They've written a letter. It's called subrogation, where they'll encourage, the company to make it right, but it'll probably go to their insurance company.
It took us a while to figure it out because a lot of those vehicles had gas in them, had diesel. So it was a small amount of gas that might just not run as well, or they were harder to start. But once you kill them, especially in our big purple travel buses, if we couldn't get them started again. And so, that was during our snow days, our ice days too, so we didn't have many going out. Once it took us a couple of days, we started figuring it out.
You'll let us know in the
Yeah.
board letter kind of where we are on.
Yeah,
On
We
this.
submitted
Sure will.
everything on that.
All right, thank you.
Do we have any activity buses back?
They're all back.
All back. And we're not sure if there's any lingering damage, that's one thing about it. Our 3 activity buses went the farthest with that contaminated fuel, so we kind of restricted them to in-town driving right now. I mean, we pulled every filter, drained every line, but we don't know what it's done. We did a purge on the injectors, but we don't know if there's any lasting effect of that. Only time will tell, because diesel and gasoline, so a little nervous about
We're
sending
gonna
them
keep
out.
track of all of our expenses on that, aren't we?
Yes, sir. They already are doing that.
All right. All right, what's next?
Let's see. On page 13, I'm just going to point out, we did have our contracted service to the Region 14 Service Center. It's a little higher than our normal. We did purchase some information security plan, so that added an additional $7,800 to that. So it's a little higher than our typical payment there.
And let me, sir, yeah, that's a one-time, so let me tell you about that. We had been purchasing our own cybersecurity program, and when we received our invoice, Tony Spradlin caught that and said that was a little higher than what he was expecting. And the service center has a co-op that it was actually cheaper to go through them and get additional services. So at that point, we ended up changing over, so.
So on the C4 fuels, will we get reimbursed for that once our attorney does everything?
That's the game plan.
That's part of it.
Yeah.
That's who came out and removed the contaminated fuel. We had to suck
Yeah,
it out and deposit it.
Yeah, C4 actually remedied the situation
They
for
remedied
us.
it.
They sucked the fuel out of the tanks, they sucked
Out
the
of
big
buses,
tank.
They rigged up a device to get it out of the 100-gallon tanks, but we didn't have enough buses left to run routes that afternoon, so they worked straight through. They brought everybody at their shop, their owners, everybody came.
It
And,
was a big deal.
Then we had to find a place that contaminated fuel to put it. You just can't put it everywhere. And so they did that for us.
Okay.
So I've tried to leave those kind of a little different than our normal just bus repair, maintenance. Let's see, page 13, at the bottom of 13, we did purchase some Chromebooks. Those did go to our junior highs, both east and west.
How many is that one would get us?
That was 60, Michael?
The last purchase was 60, two carts for.
16 two cart?
Yes.
On page 14, infection controls, that is our germ blast, that we have that done. Looks like a different vendor, but that's what that is. Carry that.
We bid out our fuel, but Westigo did have a load on that
So we
month.
had our last, we had paid one of those last ones. And this- If anybody else has questions, I'll give you all a minute.
So, did you go over the supplemental?
Um,
Or did I?
Yes, well, really didn't have much unless somebody else has a question over those. Any of those.
Yeah, on the supplemental, the synergy, what is the new line panel? Just out of curiosity.
Those are
Actually,
the,
the LED.
Is that what those big?
that's the type of deal. It's the new
Gotcha.
smart board. We don't have smart boards anymore.
7 of them.
Is that correct? I think, Michael, y'all put those in.
Okay, awesome.
Surprised I knew that, aren't you?
I hate to go back to the buses or anything, but, like the bus repairs, do you think that'll be covered as well?
They're trying to catch those that are related,
Right.
so.
Everything that was related, we submitted to them. I mean, we don't know what's gonna happen in the future. But the immediate things that were affected, we submitted.
Got it. Thank you.
Right, this will be a little longer next month, this quick turnaround for this earlier board meeting, kind of left these bills a little shorter than normal. Okay, we'll move on to cash balances. Balances there in the bank, that is cash. Our Lone Star investment pool, we are earning 4.56. And just a reminder, when you look at the area with the balance in all funds, that cumulative, we did hit our higher point, in January, and so that'll gradually start going down. So, and that's normal, that's a normal trend this time. Next is the revenue report. A few things that, the interest there, we did base, of course, budget that interest, that line item based off interest rates in the prior year. We do have the money going into Lone Star now earning more, so there is, obviously quite a bit of difference compared to where we were in the prior year. And just like we've noted before, at other meetings, that 5749, that does include the broadcasting. Our expense report on page 20.
Sorry, I'll go back.
Yeah, no, you're
I had a question. The school breakfast, 5921, it's up from revenue budget, 136% compared to nearly 60% last year. Is that just, are we getting more money from the federal government on that?
So I'm gonna say, correct me if I'm wrong, Carol, we had, last year, we did, everybody could eat for free. If you'll remember, it was a different program last year. And so we were making an educated guess at that revenue. I'm not saying we're necessarily receiving more. I'd have to look at the cafeteria report, but we were trying to make some basis based on years prior to last year. Last year's numbers we knew were going to be really skewed, excuse me. But anyway, so that number is obviously going to be quite a bit higher than what we had projected.
Okay.
And on the, oh, go ahead, sorry.
Oh, no, you're okay. Was it on revenue?
No.
Oh. Okay, on the expense report, see our code 51, just point out, we are doing quite a bit of fencing, and that's getting coded to that right now for our security upgrades. 52, we hired some additional employees that weren't originally budgeted for. So you see that that's more of the larger variance items or line items there. On our debt service fund, we'll point out, we did just make our last payment back in February, the last one of the two for the year. Our next one will be in August. So that has been paid. And just going back to that cash balance in that debt service, that's kind of where that affected, because we made that payment, that $4 million.
My question is on facilities and construction. I mean, that's a significant amount that we budgeted that we haven't used, $850,000. Are we expecting something to,
So if you'll remember that number has historically been a lot more than that. I think it was,
3.5.
well, at one time we were over 3. I think last year it may have been 1.9. And the hope there is that that money will be somewhat protected. Now, something that doesn't show in this budget is our mid-year bonus stipend that we did.
So that's
And
part of
that. It did, but it's not showing on that line. It shows throughout the budget. So if you're an instructional person, it's going to add some to the instruction. If you're a bus driver, it's going to add some to pupil transportation. So all that money is really spread throughout the budget.
so in my brain, is that $850,000 still there?
No, I would say no, because we said we were, in other words, this line item was, again, for monies that we could save. However, that
Would you need to take
stipend-
it out of that then? Like, would
Well,
that need to
At some
reflect there?
point, there's
Well,
going to be a correction.
there will
Okay.
be an amendment, but in other words, what you're saying, should we
Oh, it
have
should
made
be
a debit
reflected
to the
there.
904?
Yes. Yeah.
Well,
If
I
it's
mean,
not there, it's not there.
right.
That looks like there's $850,000 left in that area, the way it's reading.
If we were gonna, yeah. And so, maybe I do this wrong, but my expense budget is what I'm limiting myself to. I know I'm not gonna spend 400,000 of that money anyway, because we've already expended it in the rest of the.
Yeah, that just looks
But-
like it's still there to me. That's the
Yeah.
only reason I'm like, that's a
But
lot of money
it's-
still there.
And again, those are not, our revenue would say we don't have all of, any of that, those line items. Revenue, we're at 32 million out of 45, so, that would be how we limit ourselves to that line item.
The difference is, it shows up here somewhere.
Right, in my brain, I guess when I do budgets, that should, does that make sense? I mean.
Well, I understand what
Yeah.
you're saying, but it's, that's one that we will not spend 900,000 out of that one, because we know we already spent it out of the rest of the budget. So I apologize for doing it that way.
Any other questions?
Probably.
I'm here.
Anybody?
Thank you.
Thank you, Scott.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'll make a motion to pay bills.
A second.
That was fast. Thank you for your expediency. Are there any other questions? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes unanimously, Desiree. All right, we've got some
Yes, sir.
construction delivery methods, et cetera.
Yes, so as we look to the future, we know we've got continued growth in enrollment. And to start the process, even though we have not determined exactly what that is, for us to start talking to architects and construction managers and helping us get estimates for whatever we decide, we need to select those folks and then enter into a contract with them for those services. This is basically the same agenda item we've had for the 2017 East Elementary Phase 2 and East Junior High project, and then the 2020 East Intermediate project, with the exception that we included Texas Government Code Title 10, Subchapter F, Chapter 2269, because that describes the process you've got to go through for each one of those delivery methods. And so as long as we follow that, we are staying within the law. I mean, we did in previous construction situations as well, but the whole way through, I'll keep you informed as to what's happening. The first thing we've got to do legally before we enter into something with a construction manager is to contract with an architect. And so that's a professional service. As we move forward, I would keep y'all in the loop as to what we do with each one of those.
Just to be clear, for clarification purposes, any money spent, obviously we get our approval first. Does that make sense?
Well, we can definitely, there's no.
Because I don't, in my head, I don't wanna think we're gonna do anything and it costs this and it ended up costing this and then. not
Right,
without-
so, the whole way through, as we're getting cost estimates, we will have those cost estimates in front of you. We'll also have, in whatever type of delivery method we have for construction, all that will be known prior to entering into any of that, so.
I wasn't here through the last bond process, so I'm still trying to understand. The only thing I don't understand, maybe it's just the way I'm reading it, so it could be just semantics, verbiage, but the last sentence that says enter into a contract for potential bond projects, I don't think we're there yet.
No.
So for me, I'm like, well, I'm not comfortable with that verbiage right there because we haven't even, we're we're not, just not even there yet. So am I reading it wrong, or like?
No, so in other words, if we wait until the bond,
Right, I
if we do
understand
a
that,
bond.
like in 2 months, like what, I mean, I guess in my world, you don't do anything until you have a budget and a plan, right?
Yeah.
So that one is throwing me off because we don't even know, we don't even have a plan yet.
I don't think we'll know what to do until we get their services to help us.
Right, but that is saying that you're going to enter into a contract for the projects as opposed to just hiring an architect and a delivery method.
But those, to hire them, you've got to enter into a contract.
That's what I'm asking you. That phrase is saying,
We
I'm
are
doing the two
entering
things
into a
above.
contract with them, and part of that contract will be if we have a bond. If we don't have a bond, none of this happens, because if we don't have a bond proposal, then nothing here will take place. I mean, we'll seek out those architect and that construction manager, but we won't expend any money with them because we don't have, that'll be part of the contract.
So it's the way I'm reading it. You're saying that entering into a contract for bond projects is you're doing the things above.
That's correct.
Okay, that's what I was asking.
Yeah, and so,
You're not hiring any contractor. Does that make sense what I'm saying, other than the delivery method and the?
well,
And the
if we, so, no, I think that is what I'm asking for. In other words, you would enter into a contract. Now, that contract is not gonna be for a specific dollar amount, or even, we don't know what we're gonna do yet exactly.
Right.
And so what they will do, part of that contract will be, if the bond passes, this is what the
So
agreement
this
would
is
look
like
like.
basically saying, so for the next 2 years, like, is that what you're saying?
Possibly 2 years, because that's, most projects, by the time you draw the plans, you pass a bond, you get to the money, you're looking at possibly 2 years. I don't know if it'll quite be 2 years, but, so what you're trying to gain by entering into that contract is their cost estimating services, their help in any phase of that pre-construction.
No, I understand the agent person. I think maybe I'm like not explaining this well. Are you gonna go hire somebody to do West Junior High when we don't even know what we're doing? Like, that's my question. Like, is that what you're asking for? Or are you just asking to hire the agent and the architect?
And see, really, I would say that is kind of the same, in my point of view, because you're not saying you're building the junior high or high school or whatever, because nothing has happened. We're trying to get some ideas of what this would look like, a cost estimate. And then we're able to say, okay, this is, if we approach our voters with this proposal, we would say, this is what it's gonna look like, this is what our cost estimate is.
And would you bring, I guess that's my question, like Brad said, would you bring something like that to us before you entered into that contract?
Definitely. Well, except you're saying before you enter the contract. They won't do anything for you if you don't enter into the contract.
Okay.
They're not saying, I'm gonna build this 100,000 square foot building.
Mm-hmm.
They're saying, we're gonna give you, in other words, it could be that if the contract said that, but the contract will say, if the bond passes, then we will perform the duties as listed here, as a construction manager, and so they'll follow the law on that. But we won't, we are not hiring a drywall contractor to perform, or a foundation guy to perform. Everything will be part of, really, we're trying to get to their pre-services, the pre-construction services. Now, I will tell you this, there will not be any money. In other words, I'm not gonna say, Joey Light's gonna approve a $40 million project or a 30 million or anything like that. The board's gonna be involved.
You have to be. Really, what it boils down to is to hire the architect, to hire the delivery method, which puts us in the planning process. That's all it does. It does not put us in the action.
That's right.
That's the difference.
And it really.
And to me, that just read, it was action, that makes sense? Like, that's how it reads to me, that there's some action that would be taken that we might not.
Well, the pros and cons that we found from the last couple of times we did this, if we did not delegate this authority, then every 30 days we'd be doing something.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
And instead of it moving, yeah, is the deal. But as far as the dissemination of money and the plan, it'll come through this group.
And there would be,
That makes sense.
there would be
I mean, we weren't part of
reports,
it, you know.
there would be reports to the board along the way, all the way.
Well, for example, you know, we started this process when we were gonna do one building, we ended up doing another. But, so, I don't know if that makes sense.
Thank you.
So I have a question. So even before that process, I know we had a company come in during our board workshop and present. Is there?
They were talking about a delivery method. That is
Okay.
correct.
Is there a plan to toss that out to the community and if there's any other companies that may want to bid on that or?
Well, and of course, bidding is a specific term in construction. If you are delivering professional services, you can go through a request for qualifications. For example, architects, I can't go to two different architects and say, give me your best price. You have to rate them, and then after you rate them, you go to your first choice. If you don't like what he proposes on cost, you go to your second choice until you come to, and you keep doing that until you come to an agreement with that one. I would say, in a construction manager situation, whatever the law says, we will do. In that bidding process for like a general contractor, that looks a lot different than a construction manager at risk. Construction manager at risk includes a guaranteed maximum price, where the competitive seal proposal, they're coming to you and they're handing you a document that says, I can do it for 30 million or 31 million or something like that. So it's a totally different process. Each one of these delivery methods has a different process.
I guess that'd be my question is like, is there any other businesses out there that we would want to maybe hear that gave the same type of
Sure,
presentation?
we can, yeah, we would, I believe, I don't have that governmental code memorized, but I believe that we would advertise for qualifications. Which is similar to what we did to construction manager at risk.
Yeah, we're required to ask for those qualifications.
Would we see something like the presentation that we got at the workshop? If there was anyone that.
That generally happens, and we bring you the results.
Okay.
And so that was the reason I wanted that in that workshop was to talk about a different delivery method than we'd ever had. That was the purpose.
And it was a great presentation. That's why I'm curious if there's any other opportunity to provide that same opportunity.
In the past, I know Mr. Bessent has said on that with me. I don't know if Mr. Haglund, okay, so y'all had, we take them, we go through the qualifications, and we separately rank them on a rubric, and then come together, and then if there's a multiple, you would probably narrow it to a few, and then have them come present.
Okay. Thanks.
Yes, sir.
Basically, we're giving him permission to gather the information we need to make a decision. Any other questions? What's your pleasure, board?
I'll make a motion to delegate to superintendent July the authority of adopting the delivery, negotiation, selection of an architect, into contract of architect and selection of a firm according to the provisions of the Texas Government Code Title 10, Subchapter F, Chapter 2269, relating to contracting and delivery procedures for construction projects and entering into a contract for potential bond project.
Second.
Yeah.
Get that, Desiree. Any other questions? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? All right, Mr. White. We've got some information from principals.
Who's up first? Thank you, Mr. Christian.
Wiley East Elementary has had some exciting things happening. I think as of today, our enrollment is 778, lost 2, we're gaining a couple more tomorrow, so always fun times. Academically, we finished our second round of our at-bat interim testing for STAR with our third graders, and Holly Cooper came over today and went over that data with our third grade reading teachers, and it was really good. She's doing a great job with that. We're also finished with our GT testing. We have, I think, 10 kindergarten students who will qualify for our Gifted and Talented program, which is exciting. Activities that we've had recently, one of the fun things that we did on Valentine's Day, we had our class parties, but we also did a heart hunt where we spread foam hearts around the building, and it was kind of a campus-wide just culture building thing, and the kids loved it. And we did a prize for the class of each grade level that found the most hearts throughout the day, and couldn't interrupt instruction, but it was during transition times that they were able to work, and it was a lot of fun. This West Texas Fair and Rodeo came and read to our students to kick off Read Across America Week, which is really fun. We also dressed up every day to celebrate Read Across America. Denise Blake came and spoke to our teachers in our February staff meeting about how to write a terrific grant for the Wiley Bulldog Education Foundation. So hopefully we'll have a lot of grant applications accepted there and do some fun things with our students. Upcoming this week, we are having reptiles come from an outside source for our first graders to get a sneak peek at some live reptiles, which should be fun. Hopefully they will all stay caged. That's my goal. We also have, we did a drawing for perfect attendance for third and fourth 6 weeks for both our staff and our students. And we had a student from each grade level have a pizza with the principal, which was fun. And one of our staff members won a gift card donated by Bucket Head, so that was fun. We're also planning a STAR pep rally, thanks to Mr. Finna. He's letting his cheerleaders come over, and they're doing some cheers for STAR to get our third graders ready for their very first time to take STAR. We continue working with our safety updates, and we did on the day we did not have students, we did a crisis go practice just to make sure everything went off as it's supposed to. And we also are having some specific training for some kiddos, some staff members who have kiddos with diabetes, because we want to make sure they're ready to help those kids if something goes awry. We had one of our teachers that was interviewed by the news about our new daycare, which is fun. So Kayla Barnes is featured. She did a great job talking about how beneficial that will be. So thank you to the board for approving that to move forward. And we're going to get some great staff members who need that service. So our staff is doing a great job catching anybody who's around our building that shouldn't be. So I'm really proud of them. So that's the East Elementary. Do y'all have any questions?
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, Ms. Christian. Thank you.
Wiley East Intermediate. Couple of things, again, we just wanted to recognize those who, kind of our motto is we greater than I, so we just want to take care of those who take care of our students. So you'll kind of see some pictures of, came back after the new year and try to figure out a way to show our appreciation. So we just put a little goodie bag, and then we came up with just a substitute of the month and a volunteer of the month. And we've got moms and dads that will come up, or grandparents that will come up and make copies for teachers, save a little time, allows our aides to stay in the classroom. So just a lot of good things going on there. So we just wanted to make sure So we put it out on social media a little bit, thanking them, and hopefully they appreciate that. But then also on that next page, DI has kind of been an awesome deal. Congratulations, we got 3 teams that have some Wiley East Intermediate students advancing. So Little Smarties, just here for the snacks, and the Party Pandas. So proud of them, and good luck to them at the state meet. And then we got Marie Mills, placed 3rd place in the Middle Clear Fork Conservation Poster. So just recognizing those students and those individuals that kind of help us out and doing some great things. But just kind of, since last time I saw or spoke with you in January, we had our staff development in February. Ms. Seawright put us through some STAR training, kind of the first time that we had a kind of a quizzy, and everybody had their phones out, and we had a little competition over STAR security questions. So it was kind of good. It was pretty competitive. But again, Ms. Seawright's doing a great job. Again, it was Counselor Appreciation Week as well. Before the last time I saw it. We've done our at-bats, Ms. Cooper. Crazy thing about this is we gave our at-bats real quick Wednesday and Thursday, and I had Ms. Cooper over there on Friday already disaggregating that data with our teachers, and they got about 2 hours to kind of really dig into that. So it was a really good job there. Other than that, kind of already looking forward to next year. We had Ms. South come over and talk to our 5th graders about next year moving over to Wiley East Junior High. So we're getting that ready, and then we'll kind of put our tour together, our first ever tour that will load them up on the bus, our 5th graders, so they can come check out Wiley East Junior High. If you're around, and if there's any substitutes watching, March 10th is a Friday. But we will have a shrimp boil for the staff and any substitutes that are on campus. So shrimp boil will be there to kind of start a spring break.
What time?
So that'll be serving about 10:45 to about 12:30. So come by. So that's why these.
Sound like you've got some substitutes lined up here.
Okay. So thank you.
Thank you, Coach Bacon.
I was supposed to sub last Friday or Friday before, and my kid got sick.
Okay, for Wiley Early Childhood, our enrollment is up 2 from what is listed there. We did have 2 new students in early childhood this morning, and so we have 416. We're going to have another student join us in early childhood on the 20th, and so we'll then have 19 in that class and 417. Last week, we also participated in Read Across America Week, dress-up days, a lot of experiments, science experiments with different things, and literacy. And the kids had a lot of fun with that. Spring break, we are going to have a Community Helpers Day in kindergarten. And Judge Harper's going to be here, Mr. Wiley's going to be here. We're going to have a fire marshal, ambulance, police department, and nurse come, and it's going to be in kindergarten only. They're going to rotate. That'll be a lot of fun. Middle Clear Fork Soil and Water Conservation Poster Contest. We had 4 campus winners. They're down there at the bottom, and we took their pictures, and they'll be featured in the Wiley Growl. But we also have a teacher who is going to be awarded the Conservation Teacher Award for 2023. That's Jessica Hagler. And so she'll be at the banquet on the 25th. On April 3rd, Allison Fox, Miss West Texas Fair and Rodeo Teen Queen, is going to come read to pre-K and kindergarten classes. She's going to wear her crown and her sash and come as she has to some other schools. April 6th, we're going to have pre-K egg hunts in the morning, kindergarten egg hunts in the afternoon on campus. And then the 13th and the 14th, the kindergarten are going to have a music program, 2 each day. And it's going to be music associated with nursery rhymes. We're finding that, that's not so common anymore. And so they're going to have that. And then on the 27th of April, our pre-K, they're going to take a field trip to the zoo. And then on May 5th, not the 28th, our kindergarten, they're going to go to the state park. And they're going to get to be, they're going to have a presentation by the junior ranger program, and it's called Skins and Skulls. We've had it before, and they just get to guess different skins of animals and skulls, and they really love it. We have 10. Yes. We have 10 pals visiting our campus every week, 4 in pre-K. Use more, but we're very happy with the 10, 4 in pre-K and 6 in kindergarten. And then I didn't, but the teachers are actively engaged with meeting with the parents of those students who we feel like need to be placed back in kindergarten next year, or maybe they need transitional kinder or transitional first grade. And so they're doing that too. And then on the February 20th, I think our staff development, we had CPS come and give a very informative presentation and to our staff, and then had a pretty healthy Q&A. So it was pretty good for the teachers, had a lot of good questions for them. Any questions? Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Sage.
West Elementary's up, and we have 440 students. You see the breakdown up there at the top. Some of our previous events were the Valentine's parties and the Trivia Tuesday. And the Valentine's parties were, of course, fabulous and wonderful, and all the parents attended, so we loved having our parents come. Then February 17th, we had our Professional Development Day, and Assistant Principal Elizabeth Carey provided that. She did a great job. She taught about our new, it's called MTSS, multi-tiered system of support. The old RTI system revamped, just interventions we put in place for kids as a new system and process that we use. And then the upcoming events, this is just what we've been doing this week, and we'll do all this month. We have Music in Our Schools Month, and each day during our announcements, we learn a new fact about the benefits of music education. And believe it or not, there's a lot of advantages to learning music and reading music and anything related to it. They've shown it improves reading, math, testing scores, memory, processing speed, and it's also one of the few activities which engages both sides of the brain at the same time. So it's a great thing to involve your kids in. So anyway, we've been doing that each day. We tell them a new little fact. And then in March, the last week of March, we'll have a book fair, a second grade music program, and then our open house for first and second grade will also be that last week. And we had we've been preparing for a safety audit, and we actually had it today, and they said we were the most wonderful school they'd ever seen. I might have made that up, but they were very impressed. We got a perfect score. Of course, I had a little pressure right here. So we did very well. Then, just moving on down, preparing for kindergarten is really what we've been doing most of the time. All of our rooms ready, just want it to be really nice and welcoming, so we're doing everything we can to get that. Oh, yes?
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Custer.
Well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I guess I'm the closer tonight. It feels like I'm pitching in the 12th inning right now. So I'm going to try to strike everybody out real fast. You can see a few things here. We've already had a lot of people already talking about Staff Development Day. We did some RTI training, child find, had some good stuff. We'll talk about our book fair. We had planned the family night on a Monday night, and that was right after the ice storm. Our shipment didn't come in, so we moved it from Monday to Thursday. I think it was a little league, tryout night, lots of stuff happening. Our parents are unbelievable. They still came. They brought, the older kids had their baseball clothes on, bought some books. We're sold out of a lot of things, so I can't say thanks enough to our community for supporting our schools. Of course, that money will go back to our library, so thank you to our community. We did our at-bats, like everybody's talking about, practicing for the Star last week. Miss Cooper will be here, third grade tomorrow and fourth grade on March the 8th. We're doing a staff, I had the wrong date on the Goodie Day. We're going to be gone the 7th. It's actually the 10th on our staff Goodie Day. We are going to do the Buddy Bear thing like these guys are doing. March 25th, a couple of things are happening on March 25th. We do have the Clear Fork Soil and Water Conservation Banquet. I think it's at the high school. I have some kiddos too. Congratulations on the third place finish, Mr. Bacon.
We had second place, Claire Jenkins, and first place, Mia McCarty, and then we swept the third grade, Amber Benton, Sophia Cannon, and Weston Dow for third grade, so we have 5 kiddos recognition there. A little friendly competition. That's right. That's right. Also on the same day.
He didn't know they were competing.
Always come, always. Same day on the 25th is we mentioned the state DI competition. We share some kiddos in this, so yes, just here for the snacks, some of our kiddos. The Funky French Fries won first place. The Party Pandas first place. The Little Smarties second. Happy Bumpy Waffles, 4th place, and the Golden Monarchs, 4th place. So they have some creative names. That's going to be on March 25th, the same night as the Soil and Water Conservation Banquet. We're going to do April 6th, another staff goodie day. We'd like to take care of our staff. That night, it's a Thursday night, the baseball team is going to host Lubbock Coronado. So we're doing our Sunshine Committee. We like to get out once a month with the teachers, do stuff. So we're going to go watch a little Wiley baseball. Some of us are going over to Cooper because our softball team's playing at Cooper, so we have some of our people going to go support softball and some baseball. We're excited about supporting our kiddos, hopefully seeing some of the kiddos used to our campus, so we're very excited about that. 4th grade field trip, Frontier, Texas. We're doing a field day this year. Mr. Boyd is taking care of that. I do want to say, I thought, they said, we got an audit today as well, we scored 100. They said, we were the best campus. I don't know what's going on. But we tried to tackle the guy, but somebody we knew pretty closely, so we decided to let him go free. But we appreciate our school operations people. I don't want to mention them by name, but the situation that happened in Uvalde, they check our doors daily. Not only do they check our doors, they fix things. If the closers aren't working right, if the handles aren't working right, those guys are repairing it if something's not quite working right. Because you know, something can happen. It can be human error. We don't pull the door all the way shut, or mechanical error. And those guys, thanks to Mr. Bessett and his crew, they're checking that all the time. So we appreciate what our school operations people do. Any questions? No, sir. Thank you all very much.
Thank you, Mr. Boone. Good job.
Fast update on all things little. Way to go.
Good job.
Way to go. Mr. White, you're going to tell us, or somebody's going to tell us about mentor care.
I'm gonna go first. Y'all have this at your seat. Let me just say, I am gonna highlight some points, so if you turn the page, I think everybody knows about Mentor's Care. This is our second year to have this program at Wiley, and the slide number 3, which is at the top of page 2, says what we do. They match struggling students with fully qualified adult volunteer mentors who come from our community. And then the next slide below that, why we need mentoring. It talks about influencing campus harmony, helping increase extracurricular activities, improving test scores, fewer discipline referrals. So that's a byproduct of establishing relationships with these mentors. If you go a couple of pages over, which would be 6 at the bottom of the page, or slide 12, these are some really important areas that I think that they're accomplishing. 89% of all students in their program are earning enough credits to be promoted. That's important to that group of kiddos. I mean, it's critical that they stay on a path to graduate. 52% of all students had fewer discipline referrals. Not every one of them, but a lot of them have a lot of discipline referrals. So if they are helping them not have as many discipline referrals, that not only helps the kiddo, it helps the front office as well. So it's a win-win. 70% of all students are meeting the attendance rule, the 90% attendance rule, and they feel like 100% of the seniors are on target to graduate. Now there's 14 seniors, on the next page, bottom of page, or the top of page 7, slide 13, it talks about the number of kiddos in the program. There are currently 65 students in the program. They've had 77 during the year. About the middle of that slide, it talks about total seniors. 14 is that number I gave you a second ago, and the seniors expected to graduate is 14. And look at how many hours those folks, total mentor volunteer hours, 695. That's a lot of time that our community is dedicating to our high school students in need. And then that bottom slide, Wiley High School students that had 24 outcries to the coordinator. The coordinator is Mark Blakely. I'll introduce him a little more in just a minute. And even if you're not in the program, they will occasionally support a student. And again, Mark can address that a little bit more. And our coordinator is Mark Blakely. Mark, again, we started this last year. He's been very active in getting a tremendous amount of volunteers. I think we have more volunteers than we actually have students, which statewide, that just doesn't happen very often. And so I'm going to let Mark, he's got a couple of special guests, maybe make a few comments. Mark, you're up.
Joey hit on a lot of Mr. Light hit on a lot of the key points, but a couple of things I want to cover is, first I want to say thank you to the board. You guys, your support is critical to the success of this program. I also want to thank the high school, for the admin, and all the teachers. I'd be remiss in not thanking community partners. I want to start with Bellway Park Church, Dyess Air Force Base. Dyess Air Force Base probably contributes 20 to 25% of the total mentor pool that we have. And so that is a huge, huge thing. First Christian Church on Anthony Road, Global Samaritan, Kiwanis Club of Greater Abilene, Longo's Workshop, ask me later, Rotary Club of Abilene, West Texas Food Bank, Wiley Baptist Church, and to all the people and mentors who donate. The final group I want to thank is my mentors. I manage about 75 of them. 62 are current because I have mentors who mentor multiple students. At this point, I'm going to turn it over to our senior. Her name is Kiaria Gallo. I've told Kiaria she has about 20 minutes to talk. She has 2 minutes to talk, and she will tell you about the program. Also, after Kiaria is done, Chelsea Holt's in the back. Chelsea is in her second year of mentoring. Chelsea has 3 students. That's the most we allow. If we were allowed to have more, she'd take 7 or 8 kids. She cannot get enough of the one-on-one time. But I'm not going to steal any of their thunder, so I'm going to let Kiaria start. Each of them has 2 minutes, and we'll go from there.
My name is Kiaria Gallo. I started Mentors Care last year, which was my junior year. It has improved me a lot, physically, mentally, and just physically and mentally. My grades have improved a lot. I've made a lot of new friends, and it's just an environment where you can feel yourself. Like Mr. Blakely, we all have our ups and downs with him, but he also helps us the best he can. I personally say, not just for me, but many other mentees, that we have improved a lot. A lot of us have gotten in less trouble, and everybody just gets along in that realm. And if there is conflict, we always end up solving it with Mr. Blakely because he sits us down, you know. Oh yeah, my mentor, she's a great person. She's like an older sister to me, and we both agree on a lot of things. We have a lot in common, and I feel like Mr. Blakely just matches us up with the perfect mentor for us. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you for being part of the program. Thank you especially because it's not easy to get up there and do that. Good job.
And let me say, when I first interviewed Kiaria, she's like, okay, here's my day. She was so overcommitted and so structured, but you could just tell. And then I interviewed her mentor-to-be, and she said, well, I think I've got about a 90-minute window here this day of the week because I have this, this, and this. And I was like, exactly a perfect fit.
Well, like Mark said, my name is Chelsea Holt, and this is my second year mentoring. Hopefully you guys have seen me a little bit. I also sub in the Wiley schools. And I have the privilege of mentoring 3 ladies this year. Every week we start our time off by discussing their academic performance. We review grades, we review attendance, and then we also brainstorm on, what does that look like and how can we improve our time there at the high school. We do have a binder that we work through, and it is a great resource. It does help us cover not only academic topics, but also emotional and social topics. It has some really great little tidbits that we can cover, bringing up some harder issues for especially the mentors who don't feel as comfortable. It gives us a good talking point and a good outline for that. I pour as much encouragement and as wisdom and advice as I can into these ladies, but they equally impact me with their insight, their humor, their passions, and that's a really great part of my week. I love the opportunity to work with them and see. But I think more importantly, I love watching them in turn take on the role as mentors to each other or to the underclassmen. There have been multiple times when I have heard students in the mentor care room tell each other, things that we would say to them, oh, you can get that grade up. Why don't you try going to tutorials? Have you thought about things like that? You don't want to fail this class. I failed that class. You don't want to be in that same boat. So it is so encouraging to hear this peer mentoring happen, and I think that is a huge step in the right direction. All students experience these normal highs and lows in high school, but I think the difference is that within mentor care, they have a village. They have a group of not only peers, but also adults who I hope that they can say they know that they love them and they care for them and they're there to support them. Bob Proctor, he's a motivational speaker and a best-selling author, and he once said, a mentor is someone who sees more talent and ability within you than you see in yourself and helps bring it out of you. And I really couldn't agree more with this. So many of our high school students are faced with constant waves of issues, of problems, and mentor care is providing them with possible solutions. And we're hopefully now helping them navigate through these solutions and letting them know that we're instilling a safety net for them. I'm so humbled and proud to be part of these three individual ladies' lives. Also so humbled and proud to be part of mentor care, and above all, I'm so proud to be part of the Wiley District. And I just thank you all for all the work that you do, and we are so, so thankful for everything.
Thank you. You guys have any questions in regard to the program? We currently have over 85 students on what you would just deem a waiting list, where I've gotten referrals, and if I had the time, I'd take it. Trust me, there are over 40 kids that come and share with me. Half the kids that eat lunch in that room are not part of the program, but you're allowed to come in before school, after school, during lunch. So there are a lot of point of contacts. There are a lot of kids that aren't part of the program that come in just to talk, shed a tear, ask for some guidance, and ask for some help, and that's what we're all about. And Chelsea had a great point. There are so many kids, when there's a kid crying in that chair, and another student might walk in, they bond. And that student, it's uncanny how sometimes that student says, I've been through that, and you're going to survive it. So, thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
I give Mark a hard time every chance I get, but he really does a great job, and the folks at Mentors Care will tell you, they have to limit him. They don't let him get too many of either the students or the adults, because they feel like he over exceeds what he should be supervising. So
I've raised the bar for the whole place.
yeah. So they.
I want to add, Mark, and I'm sorry if I'm going to say it anyway, so sorry, but I've seen this guy on social media advocating for donations, clothing, shoes, whatever a kid needs. If you ever want to know how invested that guy is in the program, I'm telling you right now, it goes way beyond the 7 to 3 school day. So thank you for that. You're on it all the time. And from the DICE perspective, I got a few of my airmen that I supervise directly that are part of that program. And I'll tell you right now, mean more to those Dias airmen than to them than. So thanks for what you do, man.
Thank you.
Thank you. Well, thank you, everybody. We're about to go into executive session right after a 5-minute break.